Hey y'all, so this week we're going to be working on drawing a realistic dragon eye, and this project should take us a few weeks. And we're going to practice using layers like professional artists do in Photoshop or Procreate or other professional programs. We're going to practice using our line art skills, and then of course shading and coloring. But this week we're just focused on drawing the actual eye. Now, we all know that dragons aren't real, even though I would like for them to be. So we're going to find inspiration for our dragon eyes by looking at other eyes we find in nature. So cats, owls, birds, they all have really pretty eyes. But reptiles probably have the closest to a dragon eye. And if you need to, at any point, go and look at pictures of like snake's eyes or lizard's eyes, crocodiles. See what the pupils are like, see what the scales are like. And you can add anything else to this eye that you would like to, because dragons are a fantasy creature, so this is a fantasy drawing. In fact, I'm going to add horns and stuff to mine. So the first thing I want to talk about before we get started drawing is line weight. Line weight is how thick or thin a line is. With the pen tool, the line weight doesn't vary, but with this long and skinny paintbrush tool, it varies depending on how fast or how slow you go. I want you to practice a little bit with this tool. Notice if you go really slow, your line is really skinny, and if you go super fast, your line gets a little bit fatter. Try drawing letters or simple circles to practice using it, and then we can get started with our eye. I'm going to try to use this paintbrush tool because I really do think it is best. And when you have different line weights, your drawing always tends to look a little bit better, a little bit more professional. But if you need to go back to that pen tool and use it instead, that is perfectly fine with me. I'm going to start off with the pen tool and then switch back quickly to the long and skinny paintbrush. But first, we are going to make a lemon shape. So it's going to be either like a lemon or a football. And this is going to be the overall shape for our eye. It looks like a curve, but with two flat ends. Then we're just going to repeat this shape by drawing two lines just like the first two. So one curve on top and one curve on bottom. This will be the top and bottom part of our eyelid. Now we need to go back and work on drawing the iris, which looks like a circle on the inside of the eye. But because we can't see the whole circle, we're just going to do two lines or two curves. One curve in the first corner and a second curve in the other corner. Next up is the pupil, and you honestly can draw any shape that you want to for the pupil. You could do a normal round circle shape just like a human's pupil, or you could do a long and skinny shape like a cat or a snake's pupil, and that's still staying fairly realistic. Or you can go completely bizarre with like a star shape. Because this is a fantasy animal, you can have a fantasy pupil if you'd like. Now, if you have not used the paintbrush tool yet, go ahead and stop now before you keep drawing too much. And let's add in some varying line weights. So I'm going to add in another line here and color the inside black. And it's going to make it look like the outside of my eye, like that line is a little bit thicker there. Having some thick areas of line and some thin areas of line is going to make your drawing a lot more interesting than if every line was the same weight. Now I would definitely go ahead and switch that long and skinny pointy paintbrush tool for our scales. And I know you're used to doing scales like this, and this is okay. I want you to just make sure you take your time with your scales. Make sure each one is connected instead of going through them really fast and not really caring like this. When students go fast, I also kind of see little loops, and I know that you went way too fast, and your line will be really thick and show it. Now, I do want your lines to be somewhat thick, But make sure all of your scales are connected, and they don't have to be this same shape that I'm doing right now. They can be any funky shape, to be honest with you, as long as they are connected shapes like this. Now, I like to start my scales around the outside of the eye and then work my way towards the outside of my paper. And I do think it looks better, in fact, if you switch up scale shapes. Now, if you'd like to add anything like horns to your dragon or little bones that jut out, it's just this curved V shape with a curve for the bottom. I'll show you that again or a few more times on the top. It's just a curved V shape with a curve for the bottom. You don't have to do any horns if you don't want to, or you could do 30 horns if you wanted to. It is completely up to you. You can come up with any scale shape that you can think of, as long as you go ahead and finish out drawing the scales all the way to the outside of your paper. Make sure you are zooming in as you're doing these details so you don't miss anything, and so you can go all the way to the edge of your paper. Save your picture when you're finished and upload it to Seesaw. I can't wait to see your dragon eyes.